Hey folks, this is just a brief walkthrough on how you can work with our data journalism notebooks on GitHub Codespaces. For those who need a refresher, Codespaces basically gives you a way to code in the cloud, very similar to how you might work locally. You have a Visual Studio Code editor, but you just don't have to install things locally. So it's a handy way to get bootstrapped quickly with some of these lessons. The one thing you will need, however, is a GitHub user account. So if you don't have one of those, that's the first thing you're going to want to do is sign in and set up an account, and then head over to Stanford journalism/data journalism notebooks on GitHub. Once you're here, it's pretty easy to get started. All you have to do is hit the big green code button. You'll see you're probably on this local tab, which is how you can grab the code yourself and bring it down to your own machine. But we're actually going to skip over to the Codespaces tab. And if you haven't created one before, you'll see another big old green button, Create Codespace on main. That's the main branch of development that you can see over here. And just click the button. And if it's the first time you've created a code space, it might take a few minutes. I've done this before, so it's spinning up a bit more quickly on my end. But we'll just give that a second to keep going. You can see a little status icon in the lower right corner. And what that's doing basically is installing a few libraries that we want you to have for ease of use. Things like the Pandas data analysis library, Altair for doing data visualization, and a few extensions for Visual Studio Code itself, like for Jupyter and Python. So the directory structure is a little complicated, but the main place you need to focus on is this content folder over in the left side navigation. You can also collapse the integrated command line view down here towards the bottom. If you go to the upper right corner, you can just toggle that on and off. So I'm going to turn it off. And then I'm going to open the content folder, and maybe we'll start with the README. That's a good place. It's kind of a table of contents. Now, one trick about working in the cloud with Codespaces is you're going to need to select a kernel. In the upper right corner, you should see a Select Kernel button. If you click that, that's going to give you a little drop-down menu, select Python environments, and then choose, ideally, the most recent version. Typically, it's starred. It should be 3.11 something. In my case, 3.11.8. And that's just going to tell Jupyter which Python in this virtual machine in the cloud to use. Once you've done that, you should be good to go. This page, this home README, is really kind of a table of contents for all of the different tutorials and lessons that we have. If, for example, you wanted to jump to demystifying dot notation, you could just click the link and it'll open that. But don't get bit by this. You do, once again, each time you open a notebook, have to go through that selecting of a kernel two-step. So I'm going to click that again, and now it's getting a little smarter. It knows about 3.11.8, so I'm going to select that. And now you're okay, or you should be okay, to begin running notebook cells. I guess this page isn't the greatest example because it doesn't have any other any code cells on it, but we could add one, for instance. If we hover down here, add a cell, just do a little basic math, and then hit play, and you should see that you got the answer. Basically, rinse and repeat for all the other notebooks, but again, a good place to start is this README. It's the high-level table of contents for all the notebooks in this project.